Hey friends, Catherine here. I want to sculpt for you a tiny charm today, and I want to do a tiny cactus charm. So for that, I've gotten around a couple of different colors of Sculpey, which I've already warmed up. I've got a dark blue here, like almost black, and that's going to be the outside of our pot that the tiny cactus lives in. I've got a bit of brown for the soil, a bit of green for the stem of the cactus, a little bit of red for the top of the cactus, the fruit, and then a little bit of a very pale orange for just little embellishments along that fruit. So what we're going to do is start by making the pot that the cactus sits in. So for that, we're going to start with our brown. We're just going to roll it out into a ball, and it actually ends up with a little bit of a football shape, which is perfect. And then we're going to press down our ends so that we end up with a cylinder. And hopefully our cylinder will be wider at one end than the other end. I'm going to try and do that a little bit just by rolling it because we want to make a planter shape. And they have a tendency to draw down a little bit at the bottom. There we go. All right. That's something like a planter. Ooh, a little note. You might notice I've got a lot more green than I do brown. The smaller the planter is, the smaller the pot that the cactus sits in, the cuter it will be, in theory. We'll see how it goes. But the idea is that it's an oversized plant in a tiny pot. And we don't have to feel bad about doing it because it's just clay. It's not like we would be harming the plant because it's not a real plant, like it would be if we were putting a plant in a too small planter in real life. The next thing that we want to do is take our dark blue and roll it out into a thin sheet, because we are going to stick it onto that soil on the outside so that it ends up wrapping around it and being the actual planter. And I know you won't be able to see it, but it matters to me that the planter is wrapped around the soil. You won't be able to see it in the finished product when it's baked and everything, but it's that little bit of extra touch to it that means that you know that it looks nice from top to bottom all the way through. Go. All right, we might want to flip that over real quick, just so that we make sure that it doesn't stick down. Okay, looking pretty good, I think. That's probably about as thin as we're gonna get it. So now, first thing that I want to do is create the bottom of the planter just by placing my little tiny soil sample onto it and cutting around that section. I'll bring it over more centrally real quick and cut around it. There we go, getting as close to the soil as possible and as round as possible. And if you do it the way that I am, by taking away chunks, it might take a little bit of time to get it round, but that's all right. Just like that. Sort of, hopefully, kind of, maybe, who knows, we'll see. Okay, and then set our excess aside and pick our planter up, and that's pretty all right. It's got a bottom on it. Now we just have to wrap the sides. For that, what we're going to do is just cut straight across a strip the height that our planter is, right like that. And then, again, remove the excess, hopefully. There we go. Okay, and then peel that up, and let's bump that down just a little bit more. There we go. Up and around. And even goes a little bit further than we need it to, which is perfect. And then we can smooth that seam over so that it will not show. There we go. And then same thing at the bottom, smooth it over so that it does not show. And then a little bit of extra authenticity. I'm just going to set that down for a moment and put a drainage hole in the bottom of our planter, right in the center, hopefully. There we go, little drainage hole, perfect. Okay, flip it back over, and now we have a bit of soil set into a planter. We could take and run a little rim along the outside just by rolling it along our little Sculpey knife here. There we go. Now it's got a little bit of an extra rim. That's kind of cute. Okay, and then we are going to get on to making the cactus. For that, we're going to be using this bit of green, and I want a, I don't know the name of them. You know, I probably should have looked it up, but I don't know the name of them. It's one of those ones that is divided into sections along the sides, but is otherwise sort of rounded at the top and at the bottom. And this actually might be a little too much green, so we might have to take a little bit of that away. We can always add it back if we need to later. But there we go. Something like that. Divided into sections vertically, and then it's got like a red ball at the top that is also divided into sections vertically. But it's chunkier at the top than it is at the bottom. And there we go. Something like that. And then I'm just going to take my Sculpey knife and divide it into sections. Hopefully fairly evenly, but not particularly necessarily, because it's a plant, so it's not going to necessarily grow evenly. And then what I want to do is put a little hole in the dirt, in the soil, because we want this to set down into it. That will help it adhere and stay stuck on when we are carrying it around as a charm later. So actually, let's bring that tip down just a little bit narrower, and then re-extend our section lines. There we go. Okay, and then shove that really just down in there. There. Now, I could stop there. That is a cactus, and it is in a pot. But I want to take it a little bit further. Let's just straighten up those section lines to the top a little bit more. And even it out so that it's standing straight up and down within its pot. And then let's go to this reddish orangish pink color. This we want to actually be pretty darn round, and we want it to be a little bit squished but not too much, and then we want it to come out in sections the same way the bottom portion does. And this one we don't necessarily have to be worried about sticking on particularly well. You'll see why in just a moment. But we really do want those sections to be very prominent. There we go. And okay, so kind of like that, and then toss it down right on top and press it on really well. Maybe scooch those back in just a little bit, and there we could stop at that and call it a cactus as well. It's awfully cute, but I think we can take it one step further, and that's why we have this little really pale orange set out. What we're going to do is take and roll it out into a worm or a snake or whatever you prefer to call it when you roll a bit of clay out very thin. Oh. And try not to just flop it around everywhere. But also try to get it somewhat even, especially down at the ends. And there we go. We've got a section there that's pretty even, so let's cut off some pieces from it that are hopefully all about the same size. And I don't even know if you can see these, they are that small. But what we will do from there is take these and stick them on the very end of our Pokey Sculpey tool and set them on the top of each of those sections of the cactus. And hopefully stick them on pretty good because we do want them to stay. There we go. So something like that, and then maybe do like another layer coming outward. So we're going to need 5 more. All right, and then take them and do the same thing. Stick them on just a little bit further out. There we go. And then maybe one more layer of those further down the sides. What do you think? Just a little bit more, a little bit further down? 3, 4, 5. All right, same thing, just further down. And there we have it. One really quite decked out tiny little cactus in a pot. Now I mentioned to you earlier that we don't necessarily have to worry too much about making sure that we stick this red flowering bit down. And the reason for that is because we're going to take our eye pin and jam it right on through there down into the green section of the cactus. And that will secure everything in place. So, tell me what you think. I'd be glad to hear from you and your opinion on this, in my opinion, adorable little cactus. I post new videos every day, so if you didn't like this, come back tomorrow, there'll be something different. And if you did like this, come back tomorrow, there'll be something different. And remember to subscribe, and I will see you all another day. Bye!